guys, welcome back to my channel. It's been a hot minute since I've been on YouTube, but I thought I'd come back today ready to rock and roll and give you a really fun and interesting story time that could benefit someone who might be going through the same thing. It's also just kind of a fun story. So here we go. Let's get right into it. So for those of you who don't know me, little pup in the back. For those of you who don't know me, I have always had reflux issues and esophageal issues my whole life. Since I was 10 years old, I was diagnosed with esophageal spasms, which basically, if you don't know what that is, it's like your esophagus is having a Charlie horse. And if you've ever had a Charlie horse or a muscle spasm in your life, you know that it really hurts. And imagine it happening just right here, like been on medications, acid reducers, things like that. And yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of living with it. But recently I was having some episodes, some really bad reflux episodes is what I thought they were. Basically it felt like my stomach acid was just pouring into my esophagus and it was like on fire. It hurt, it made me nauseous, it made me want to throw up. Like I was in so much pain. And the first time it happened, I went to the ER. They gave me what they call a GI cocktail, but it's basically like Maalox or Mylanta with some lidocaine, and they have something else that they put in it. I'm not sure. I really don't know. I just know that it helped the first time. And then it hadn't happened for a while. Then it happened again. I tried to get rid of it on my own, trying and trying and trying. 2 hours later, still in so much pain, still burning. Went back. Then I finally made my way to my GI, and he thought I was having like stomach spasms as well. So he wanted me to go get this test done, which is where the story comes in. So fast forward, I had 2 more episodes after my original appointment with my GI. I get this test done. He told me it was called an esophageal motility test, and that they only had one machine. Their whole practice, where they have 3 offices, has one machine. It's a specialized machine, and I had to go there to get it done. I would be awake for the procedure. I wouldn't need someone to drive me home. And it was basically, they were putting a probe in my esophagus and like checking the function of my esophagus, the motility of my esophagus. I thought, okay, no problem. So I was going to go by myself, but luckily my husband ended up being off that day, so he was able to go with me. And I was really thankful for that at the end of it, even though I didn't need someone there. I was just really thankful. So this procedure is for people who have esophagus problems or issues with their esophagus, whether it be swallowing or other issues. This is a really good procedure and test that they have now that can really read and understand the motility of your esophagus. So I go in, and I really wasn't told much about it other than I had to stop eating 6 hours prior, and I had to stop drinking liquids 4 hours prior to the procedure. She's like, okay, but the procedure's going to take about 30 minutes total time. The probe itself will only be in your esophagus for about 10 minutes, depending on. She said that she was going to first numb me by giving me some lidocaine. And then she would insert the probe in. Once the probe was in, then the procedure would start. And then once we were done, that would be it. And I was like, okay, cool. She hands me a basin, and I'm like, what's this for? Like, am I gonna throw up? And she was like, well, you might. And I was like, okay, cool. So then I see the probe laying on, sorry for my dog barking in the background. She's a little sensitive. See the probe, it looks like the size of a feeding tube, right? So I see the probe, she's like, okay, so I'm gonna put the lidocaine up your nose. And I was like, wait, what? What you gonna do with that lidocaine, girl? Because I had a camera put up my nose at an ENT's office one time, and they gave me a lidocaine nasal spray, like Flonase or some allergy nasal spray. I was able just to shoot it up my nose and inhale it like nasal spray. But she had a syringe, and she was like, I'm going to hold one side, and I'm going to shoot this up while you snort it in, and it's going to go up your nose and down your throat.
Oh, come on.
Okay, yeah, sure. She said, sometimes people think that they have like a brain freeze, or some people say that it burns a little bit the back of their throat, but it shouldn't last long because it's lidocaine, so you shouldn't feel anything after a while. Anyway. Okay. So then she was like, Once you're numb, then we will put the probe in and get it down. And if, she's like, the first time, you might feel it. We can always put more lidocaine. And I was like, okay, cool. She gets the syringe. She holds the side of my nose. Now, some people who I've told the story to are like, why didn't you do it? I wouldn't have done it. Let's be honest. Like, I didn't want to do it, and I would have sat there and held this syringe for a really long time, and I probably wouldn't have shot it all up in there anyway. So it was honestly best that the nurse practitioner who was doing this test for me did that. So she had a whole syringe, like 5 mLs of lidocaine. On the count of 3, we went, and whoo-wee! Never snorted lidocaine before, never want to do it again. It definitely burned the back of my throat a little bit. I felt it all coming down. I felt as if I had just stuff coming out. It was just a weird feeling. Wasn't my favorite moment. So then she gave that a second, and then she was like, okay, are you ready to give this a try? I'm like, okay, let's do it. Now, I need to forewarn you. I have a super sensitive gag reflex, which I guess is more common than I thought. But like, basically, if I'm chewing on a pin, if I like chew on it with my very back teeth, it gags me. So anyways, bad gag reflex. I knew this going into it, but I really wanted to get this test done because it was very important to me. And so to find out what's going on, of course. So anyway, she started to go in when I felt it go through my nose a little bit, like the pressure. And then when it got to the back of my throat, I gagged, she pulled it out. And I was gagging, like trying to catch my breath gagging. It got me. And so she was like, it's okay. Like, let's give it a minute. We'll try again. So she tried again. This time she got a little further in, but she could see the panic in my eyes. She could see me starting to gag. So she was like, do you need me to pull it out? And I shook my head, yes. And she pulled it out. All the while, my amazing, wonderful, very blessed husband is standing by my side, holding this basin ready for me to just like spit in it. So when she pulled it out that time, I gagged enough where I threw up, but I didn't have anything to throw up, so I threw up like nothing. And I was trying to catch my breath again. It took me a while, and she was explaining to me, if you really don't feel like you can do this, it's okay. There are other tests we can do, like a barium swallow study, other things like that. She was like, but this just is the best one. And I was like, part of me really wants to quit because I hate gagging. I hate vomiting. We're going to do it. So I looked at her and I said, she's like, what, you want some more lidocaine? I said, yes, I do. Except I said, can I swallow it? And she just kind of looked at me a little bit like I was crazy. And I was like, listen, I've been to the ER a few times with these episodes. They give me a GI cocktail, which has lidocaine in it. I'm used to swallowing lidocaine. It's not that big of a deal. She was like, yeah, sure. And I was like, is that okay? And she was like, yeah, no one's ever asked that. That's why I seem a little startled. But yeah, let's give it a try. And then she said, why don't you gurgle it? And I was like, you are speaking my language now. That's what I'm talking about. That is what I'm talking about. Let's gurgle it. So we get it back there. I gurgled in a minute, let it sit there for a minute. And then I was like, you know what? Let's get some more in my nose. I was like, screw it. I want to get this done. Let's numb it all up again. She was like, are you sure? I said, yes. So she did it again, all numbed up. Tried the probe again. This time successfully got it in, and she snapped it in. We were ready to go. Now, I didn't know. I thought she was just going to record some stuff for a few minutes. I was going to swallow a few times. But apparently the test is you swallow, you don't swallow. They give you a little syringe of some saline solution, and she'll put it in your mouth, and then she'll tell you to swallow, and then you don't swallow again until she tells you it's okay. And they want to record that 10 times. I didn't know there was a magic number of 10. I didn't know that before. She didn't say that to me. So I'm sitting there laying on the thing, and she gives me the saline. It's going. I could definitely feel like there's something in the back of my throat, but I was trying just to breathe through it and like ignore it. And we got to 5. I was like, oh, maybe she's doing 5. Like, that sounds like a good number. We got to 5, and then nothing happened. And then she went to 6, and I was like, okay, I'm starting to feel a little worse. I should have said, give me another shot of lidocaine in my mouth, but I didn't. So I only made it to 7 rounds before I started feeling it, and then I panicked, and then she pulled it out like a slippery little snake, and then I threw up in the basin that my husband was holding. So that is an esophageal motility test. So yeah, if you ever have to get an esophageal motility test done, that is what it is like. I know I'm probably a little more dramatic than what most people might be, but I'm being real with you in the sense that that's how it was. Now, lucky for you, I have gone back to get an update of what the results were. And basically, because of my years of acid reflux, I have some damage to my esophagus that is not allowing it to contract every time or properly. Now, mind you, this does not give me any issues. I'm able to eat and drink everything like normal. I don't feel like food gets stuck in my esophagus. So those were my results of the test, which actually were better than I was thinking. I was just scared that they were going to suggest I needed a surgery or something crazy because my esophagus and stomach were messed up. But come to find out, it's just unfortunately from damage, but hopefully with a little care and treatment and time, it will heal. So that is all. That is my story time today about my esophagus, which I know is a little strange to talk about, but there are tons of people out there who probably have the same things as me. But that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this story, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.